Hello, this is GEFerris, your narrator and videographer. What I'm showing you is what it looks like near Seattle, Washington, and then the flight up the coast, the unglaciated coastline along Canada and the panhandle of Alaska. I am on my way up to Anchorage, Alaska. Note how rugged and extremely steep-sided these unglaciated mountains are. I'm crossing over to the other side, which also has unglaciated areas. And I'm going to go paddling on the Yama River. This is the cloud cover to the west. Now we're coming in over Cook Inlet in Anchorage, Alaska, and it's low tide. The tide range in this area is something like 35 feet. Not a place to go casually out for a walk on or to paddle a kayak. Now I and Henry Black are leaving Anchorage, heading out somewhat northwest. And I'm sitting on the south side of the airplane, the left side, and these are the mountains and the clouds in view out the window. We are about to land at what is a military air base, and the landing strip is not like a commercial airport. Final approach to Magadan.
И вот примерно на этом месте были построены первые палатки основателей города Магадана.
This is on the neighborhood.
Значит, справа
very
сейчас
protected
находится
Nagayas
морской
Bay
Таргадан.
of Magadan.
Now we are flying via helicopter north from Magadan, and this is the terrain which I have clipped in various spots so you can just see general pictures. Of course, there's some vibration from the helicopter. But this is what it looks like as we are flying northward up to the Yama River. And this area was a gulag area. Now we are getting into the mountain. I thought about this as we were flying up there. What would the terrain be like? And I want to tell you one thing you may not quite know is that this terrain is unglaciated. It's somewhat like the We were very lucky to be able to fly into this region, and as you can see from the helicopter, this is a very steep-sided terrain. Very difficult to climb up over a mountain. And you can see it's just endless sedimentary layers scattered along with trees, mainly pine trees, growing wherever they can take any root, and the wind hasn't destroyed them. Here's a river down below. We are approaching one of the gulags, which we are given a tour of. As we're flying among these mountains, we gradually arrive and come upon a valley down below, And just to show you the perspective, Look at the pilots and look at the steepness of the slopes.
This morning we are assembling our catamaran. This is the skeleton to it, made of aluminum tubing. These are the pontoons. Behind the tent is our raft, which is going to be rowed. This is the weather conditions in the valley of the Yama River this morning. We have fog, wind, mosquitoes. Earlier we had some lightning. Yeah, it's 8 millimeter, and this is the view down to the east. The river flows east from here.
Here's Henry Black, my fellow compatriot. This is an unglaciated area, and I'm just showing you our immediate topography and clouds drifting through the mountains. All those green trees up there, the low ones, are a kind of pine tree. We are expecting mostly Class 1 rapids, but the river is running very fast. Because there are grizzly bears in the area, we are making sure that we camp in open island areas.
We have clouds migrating down the river valley. This is a metamorphic area of ancient rock similar to the Poconos in character. A lot of slate, siltstone, mudstone with minerals such as beryl integrated into them. You find some quartz, feldspar in this area. This is our catamaran in construction. The pontoons are being tied to the frame with nylon straps.
Оля, ты притягивал эти два краника сюда.
Да, любой.
Завязывай кончик, а потом стягивай.
Конец там завяжи и пошел.
The pontoons are about 14 feet long. This evening, after a pristine day of bright sunny weather, we have come 15 kilometers down the river, the Yama River, and a storm has suddenly come off the river valley, which we're about to receive. The wind is quite strong, and we expect rain. The river has been running, as you can see, quite fast. It's quite consistent in character. A few possible Class 2 rapids, but generally it's a very homogeneous river as far as we have come this first day. This is to our west. It's now 8 o'clock at night in Siberia. You can see the thickening clouds on the horizon. This is to the east. The storm is coming up the valley. In this area, tamarack and various willows are common trees. We are now seeing igneous rock. As you can tell, some of these rocks are obviously pink feldspathic rocks. We just came from an area that was a metamorphic area of sedimentary metamorphic rocks. These are now igneous metamorphic rocks. This is fast clouds moving by. This is something quite surprising to watch. This storm is moving very fast through these mountains. It is pushing in very hard. A very disconcerting experience if you were up there on top of that mountain. The wind would be very strong. It's a thunder shower coming in. This is a banya which is being constructed for today.
Она еще не готова, рано.
And we're going to enjoy it.
This will be a cube-shaped structure covered with thick plastic.
This is a fire which is to supply heat for the banya.
We're going to sit on those large logs once the whole thing is prepared. The heated rocks will be placed inside this structure once it is all enclosed with plastic. Then we will get inside and water will be poured on the rocks, which will generate steam. We'll sit inside for a few minutes until we can't stand it anymore, and then we'll go out and take a dip, and then we'll go in again. We had 3 steam baths and we couldn't stand it anymore. We stopped and went to sleep.
This is a view from our evening campsite at the river. This evening we are worried about the presence of bears. They do occur in this area.
These bears are grizzly bears, and we always made sure we camped out in wide open spaces. Yuri always brings his dog on trips like this as a warning dog.
This is our catamaran, which is working very nicely. The cone-shaped bag is for kneeling against and sitting on, for people in the stern. There is an interesting mountain. The river is flowing a good 7 or 8 knots, I would guess.
Because of the character of our boats, we always had to be very sure of where we wanted to come in so that we wouldn't all suddenly wash down somewhere else along the river.
This is our supply of bread. It's a mixture of rye and wheat. Very tasty, dense bread. Here's the little dog. We're stopping for lunch.
There was always plenty of dry wood that was easy to make a fire with on these islands. These are our boats that are brought up on the island as we are stopping and having some food.
The trees are tamarack, poplar, willow, many types of willow, and birch. Siberian pine, which grows quite low. In the wintertime is covered with snow. Tamaracks lose their needles in the wintertime.
I am standing on the edge of the river, and I thought I would give you a view of just exactly what it looks like as it's roaring by. We are camping on this island.
fairly small bear. Who has visited this island? You can see the back foot and the front foot. The back one is longer than the front. In Russia, the bear is called medved because it likes to eat honey, which is called medva. That's a good size salmon. That's huge. What a good dinner we're gonna have tonight. Oh boy. What a nice fish.
This is Alexei.
Oh, he's a big one.
Yeah, it has big teeth.
Yes, it does. I was watching that when he had his fingers in it.
Yeah. We're going to be catching fish tonight and having a good time. We saw a bear here earlier, bear friends. So the salmon are running.
Here's Victor fishing.
This is our evening sky with some particularly interesting clouds. This area has weather that changes very rapidly, and we had a couple of days with thunder, a surprising amount of thunder for one day. It went on for hours.
Here are some fresh bear prints accompanied by river otter prints. Now in this area,
We have terns and we have seagulls, which are actively looking for fish.
we are right in an area where gulls are nesting.
Another salmon,
Пойдем еще ловить.
20 inches.
Victor has hooked the fish and Sergey is helping him land the fish.
Не надо, вот.
This is a fish which has been spawning.
Ну что, достаем его?
This morning we're catching salmon. They're spawning. We have been eating delicious salmon eggs, and we had salmon fried with onions. We're using mostly iron for lures. There is shiny iron pieces, fairly large hooks.
This is our campsite with about 15 knots of wind blowing. We are leaving.
Главное, не шумите. Племянник лежат.
It's a midget with two little cubs.
А что, она вас увидела?
That is a little bear.
This is the water close up. Here is Yuri paddling along, scouting for us. You can see when you look at this that we are moving along at a good fast clip.
Лёх, ну как рыбалка?
We are just gliding down the river and I'm taking advantage of sitting on the catamaran raft so that I can take these videos just to show you the character of our waters that we are running. The forests along the river are becoming more complex, and now we are about to come upon an open talus slope. The stone is very blocky, so it looks to me like it's some basalt. We're gathering up our lunch dishes and leaving right now. We're passing by some tamarack trees. It's fun to capture some crows just sitting there. As one is flying away, you can see how extremely steep this topography is. There are some low clouds over there. A flightless molting duck is making its best effort at trying to escape us. Another one with another tactic.
These are footprints of some hoofed animal. Possibly an elk, fairly large. They're about 4 inches long and 5 inches wide.
This is a Siberian version of fireweed. Even fireweed grows in Greenland. I don't know what this bird is, but I recorded its voice. This is a wonderful moment of watching a gull over me. It's not very happy with my presence, but I'm enjoying watching it fly. Here is a great view of some orographic clouds and other clouds passing through the mountains. I'm watching, but everybody is preparing our dinner this evening. We have special chefs here on the river, our crew. What an amusing dinner. Oh, we had a great time. Here he is adding our specially prepared components. I'm just watching the clouds in the evening sky and also the play of terns over the river and gulls. That's
Хороший рыбий. Salmon. Grayling. This is this evening's supper, which is pieces of salmon with onion wrapped in aluminum foil, which is in a hole that has had a fire over top of it, and there the stones are being raked back over top of the aluminum foil wrapped salmon. Yuri caught the salmon today, and he has been doing wonderful cooking. They will sit in there for probably a half an hour. The fire is now being raked back over top of the rocks to keep the heat going.
Здесь почему прогревают сначала, потому что получается равномерно со всех сторон.
This is the moon this evening. Spots on it, which was caught this morning. Its spots are pink, and the rest of the color is green in the background on the fish.
a dolly varden trout up close. Here I am, displaying my fish that I caught. An interesting beetle. Note its very long antennae. It's a type of Sawyer beetle. This morning we were truly enveloped in this fog on the river. I think it was our foggiest morning we had. We have a little fog at our campsite. I thought it was just fascinating to look in these ripples, just so you could see what my camera could see while I'm sitting on the front of the catamaran. No, I wouldn't be trying this trick over the side of a kayak. I didn't feel like going for a swim unexpectedly. There's a Seller's sea eagle up there being chased by a gull, and this is a flightless duck. It's molting. Yuri is just right here scouting for us. We're looking at a bear, hoping we don't have to be worried about what the bear is up to. Another one of the many rapids we are traveling through. Henry Black is up in front of us in the yellow kayak, just to give you a feeling for the size of the waves. In the wee hours of the morning, I recorded this image of the full moon. I was very lucky to happen to capture it just at this moment, just to show you what our very early morning light looks like today after a full moon the night before. We have such lush vegetation in this area, and in the background is the pontoons being re-inflated. They lose a little air, and every so often they have to be inflated again.
This is a stellar sea eagle.
This sea eagle can have an 8-foot wingspan. It prefers salmon. What's very interesting in this area we're coming down through is that very heavy growth of grass is showing up, which suggests to me a major change in nutrient supply and the ecology of the area, along with this mass of very large trees.
This is river bottom tree growth. Showing that the river has changed its course in this area. And then right next to it is an old stand of tamarack. Where the river has not changed its course in quite a few years. We're in the southern part of the Yama River.
Okay, if you want to know what I did, I actually jammed my camera just the lens itself underwater so that you can see what my camera sees underwater. And it's interesting from an abstract perspective. Nothing like having fun.
So this tree grew when it was much warmer. And now this is all the only area that shows this ancient tree. Oh yeah.
This is a very unique area.
These have probably left here since the last cold period when we had major glaciation in North America. This is the Yama River, and to my right is the Yama River, which is feeding into the Yama River. And right there I saw a huge salmon jump out of the water. There's one right now. That river is loaded with salmon. There's one. Right there is plenty of fish for us to catch.
Watch, there's gonna be a good showing in a moment. Here's a fish. There. If you watch carefully, you can see fish that are coming up to the surface and then going back down again in this flat water. This is quite fun just to look at.
This is a strange green transparent algae that's sort of jelly-like. It forms a long ribbon.
I thought this algae was just fascinating to look at. There's lots of terns in the background and there's some tiny smolt in the current. You can see right there.
A minnow, probably a grayling minnow.
Most likely sandpiper footprints.
Some Achillea in full flower I came across.
Сейчас и вправо. Ну как вправо, как ставить? Да нормально, хватит воды.
Yuri has landed at the forest warden's house and he's going to talk with him.
These are 4 loons, common loons, which we have in our area as well. Just now they have discovered that we are coming down the river. These are blackback gulls, the first ones we're seeing. We're about 20 miles north of Yamsk on the Yama River. We're starting to see more diversity of bird life and plants also.
Large gulls are here working the waters. Lots of terns are here working the water.
Anya.
Балбалу поставили, навесик до столовой. Вода чего.
Coming down the Yama River into Yamsk, we're starting to see places where people live.
Here's Yuri out ahead of us, scouting. I'm using a Sony CCD SP7, a weatherproof camera, and I can actually get away with dunking it in the water so that I can let you see what the camera can't see. You can tell we're drifting down the river at a good fast clip.
Я долго не стал, может сказать. Скорее парашют сделать. Закольцовываю. Там непонятно совершенно, где лево, где право.
Бассейн надо тренировать.
Да лежа здесь, надо просто сюда объяснить.
We're passing by a farm where a man is haying with a pair of horses.
Юра, а что это за вышка? А?
Традиционный знак.
А? Triangуляция.
Традиционный знак.
Как называется?
Триагопун.
Самое высокое место в этом.
Нет, просто это.
По всей местности вот так вот рассыпано.
Треугольниками.
Считал, смерть меня подождет.
He's mowing. It's only early July.
Чего там?
Swallows live in these banks. We call them sandbank swallows. Small falcon, I think. Yep, the falcon.
There are sand swallows that live in this sandbank we're passing by. We are actually in an area that is part of a refugium where plants grow that normally grow in more southerly areas. This is quite interesting to witness.
Funny looking fish with a snout and a drooping belly.
I'm looking at some type of salmon that is migrating up the river as I'm sitting on the front of the catamaran raft.
They're all lined up going upstream. standard airplane used in the Russian side, Far East, on the borders. This is this evening's sunset. The sun is nice and red over the river. This is our last camping site. We have just discovered a nesting site for a tern.
Now we are going to be leaving in a helicopter flying back to Magadan.